Hi everybody, so with the release of Arma Reforger on Xbox consoles, its developer and publisher Bohemia Interactive have already done 3 things that many thought was impossible. They've brought their massive open world military sim sandbox franchise Arma to console. They've brought a live mission editor with the included Game Master editor to console. And most importantly, they've brought an in-game cross-platform modding framework that means that mods developed for PC will work on console and vice versa. So how does this make Arma Reforger probably the greatest shooter ever on consoles, I can hear you asking. How can it possibly be better than PUBG and Battlefield 1, my 2 favourite competitive shooters of all time? How can it be better than DayZ, my favourite survival adventure game of all time? How can it be better than Zombie Army Trilogy, my favourite single-player game of all time? The answer to this can all be summed up in one sentence. Arma Reforger is a military sandbox shooter with support for user-generated mods. And that sentence is gold. It's gold because Arma Reforger's success and gameplay experience doesn't have to rely on the devs at Bohemia Interactive. Arma Reforger can rely instead on the thousands of experienced amateur and semi-professional modders out there who have developed mods for previous Arma titles, and the thousands of new modders joining their ranks using the new powerful Infusion engine modding tools. Already we're seeing the fruits of this in Arma Reforger's in-game workshop. Modders have created single and multiplayer scenarios, new guns, new vehicles, new maps, and we've already seen a few zombie mods. The sky literally is the limit, as I'm sure we'll see helicopter and aircraft mods before too long. The beauty of this way of making games which really are just a framework for other people to implement their visions, is that these visions often far exceed what was thought capable of the original game, and we can use the amazing Prairie Fire mod for Arma 3 as an example of that. So, Arma Reforger will be better than PUBG because someone will make a PUBG-like mod inside Reforger. It'll be better than Battlefield 1 because someone's going to make a Battlefield 1 mod inside Reforger. And as for DayZ, well, you can see where I'm going with this. This point though, I do have to take a step backwards, and as amazing as Arma Reforger is right now, you have to know the realities of playing a title in Xbox's game preview or early access program. Arma Reforger is a stepping stone for its developer, Bohemia Interactive, on the way to Arma 4, the full title. Reforger is a small taste of what Arma probably will be like. It's a live test and feedback environment, so Bohemia Interactive can learn more about their new game engine Infusion, and we can learn about its modding tools and give feedback on the game. Arma Reforger doesn't run well on Xbox yet. We're not getting a constant 60 frames a second. What we are getting are server crashes, bugs and glitches, but BI are publishing regular update patches to start addressing these. Arma Reforger has a terrible, and I mean really terrible, control scheme on Xbox that needs tearing out and starting again. If you've played DayZ, when you first start playing Arma Reforger, you'll feel the same way you felt when you started playing that game. Frustrated, bewildered, lost, and probably quite angry the game doesn't help you more to learn the basics. Just like with DayZ though, a lot of time and little research will reward you with rich gameplay experiences that you simply will not find in other titles. Arma Reforger also at the moment has a limited number of game modes, a limited number of vehicles and a limited number of player options, so there probably will be more coming soon, but the main title will be Arma 4. Let me just share some experiences from one short session I had on Arma Reforger's conflict mode. I joined the game late and I was only planning to play for about 30 minutes, and I was playing on the Soviet side, and I checked the map and I could see that the Americans had pushed up quite close to our headquarters, not quite within radio range but quite close. So I holed up on top of the radio building in our HQ and then waited for a few minutes, and some of our team came back and they got on the radio and we got a chat, and they said, right, let's push up to the next base to make sure that the Americans can't take it. So they jumped in a truck, I jumped in a jeep, and as we were driving up there, they kind of went off to the right to flank it, and I just carried up driving up the road in my little UAZ. About 30 seconds later, driving towards me at full pelt was an American Jeep with a machine gun on the top, and I heard them shout because in Arma Reforger you have local chats. Get him! And then they started firing their big 50 cal or whatever it was on top of the Jeep at me, so I had to crash through all these gardens, go around the back, drive towards my pals were so they could return fire onto this American Jeep, which then careered off towards our base. So I then, by myself, started chasing this Jeep and got to the base first, jumped out of my truck, raced up the ladder, and then waited on top of our radio base for the Americans to turn up, which they didn't, which is a bit odd. But we did get the marker and the notification that spawns had stopped on our HQ, which means that there are enemies nearby. So I was sitting on the top of the base waiting, and then I could hear some whispering coming over the local chat. And I could hear somebody saying, "Oh no, they haven't captured the local base. We can't capture this one." And I suddenly twigged there was a couple of players on the American side below me in the building already. But because there's this local vicinity chat, I could hear what they were saying. Then the Americans captured the base down the road, which brought our HQ into range. So these two guys could then capture our HQ, and they were like going, "Oh yeah, brilliant, we can win the game now." And they started capturing our HQ, not knowing that I was on the roof. So I just simply dropped down through a skylight. They'd left the door open to the radio room, and I just lit them both up with my AK on full auto. And I could hear them go, "No!" as they died, and I saved the day. And it was absolutely brilliant fun. My team turned up. They sort of came back and said, "Don't worry, lads, I've sorted it all out." And so that's just a taste of what can happen on Reforger. You have these great DayZ moments, PUBG moments, Battlefield moments, almost Call of Duty moments as well, which is pretty cool. But by buying and playing Arma Reforger, you are in effect becoming part of Bohemia Interactive's game testing team. You're a QA tester, helping them towards the release of this and ultimately Arma 4. So with this all in mind, I still thoroughly recommend that anyone remotely interested in semi-realistic shooters on Xbox next-gen consoles should buy and play Reforger. It's only a budget title after all. Jump into a game of conflict, turn on your mic, get talking to and playing with your squad mate, and you'll have an amazing time. Then you'll discover the workshop with all that's got to offer, and pretty soon you'll realise that Arma Reforger will probably be the greatest shooter ever to come to console. So there we go. That's my initial review of Arma Reforger. What do you think? Put your questions and comments down below. If you enjoyed the video, hit like. If you want to see more of the same, press subscribe. And I will, of course, see you again soon.